Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to give you a build guide for 4 custom characters. You can build your 4 custom characters whatever way you want, but this is the way I recommend it for at least the first playthrough. You can definitely get crazy with it. Some of these are definitely not solid because some of the options I'm going to give is going to be quite interchangeable. And I'll explain what you could do for the most flexibility. So let's go ahead and start off with understanding what classes are going to give you the best bang for your buck, okay? So Paladin, and I say this a lot because Paladin's amazing, but Paladin can do everything. They can DPS really well if you build them for it. They can heal very well if you build them for it, and they can also tank very well if you build them for it. And they can also do all 3 at the same time. So if you wanted the most versatile build, you could go Paladin and then have anything. You could have 3 Rangers, 3 Rogues, fucking 3 Wizards, it doesn't matter, right? But that is not going to be the build I'm going to be doing today. If you want to see how I build my Paladin, check the last video where I did 1 custom character and 3 origin characters for that. But this is going to be more of a basic build, okay? So you're going to want to tank first. I think when it comes to the philosophy of how you should be building your party, you're definitely going to want to tank it. You're going to want a range DPS. You're going to want a caster of some sort, which could also be your range DPS, and you're going to want a healer, right? So, first things first is you're going to have a choice between Barbarian, Fighter, Paladin, and Druid, okay? We're going to go actually go with Fighter here. Fighter is a more niche pick, but they're really, really, really strong. So the way you're going to build this, I'm just going to do half orc because of the relentless endurance. You don't have to. The race doesn't really matter. Sometimes I'll just go human, but going fighter is pretty simple because you get this off the bat, which is a +1 to your armor class. That's just a +1 innately done. You get, instead of a 16, you get a 17 or whatever, right? Really helps you get up to the high levels of the armor class. You also have the choice between great weapon fighting and 2-weapon fighting. I wouldn't recommend going anything else unless you wanted to do an amount of archery. But you'll get a fighting style change at some point. I don't remember which level it is, but you'll get it at some point. So go with the defense first. Soldiers are a really good option for your background. You can go whatever, though, whatever suits your fancy here. For your build, though, what you want is you want your bonus to Constitution and Strength. So 16 Strength. If you wanted to be more well-rounded character, you would go 14 Con. But I'm going to go for the 16 here. Try to get my Dex 12. Let's get that there. We're not even going to touch our Charisma here. So we have a few options here. So we could improve our Dex and have a faster reaction time in initiative, right? Or we could try to well-round our character, right? So wisdom is going to help with perception checks. Intelligence is going to help with a lot of saves. And also there is wisdom as well. And there's also charisma. But for right now, just to have it, I'm going to go with a 14 dex, because this will allow you to get up in the fight faster, give you a better initiative. And then if you want, you know, you can, at level 4, you can pick whatever you want, right? If you want to do feat improvement and be basic, you can improve your strength. If you want to go maybe the alert feat, right, which gives you a +5 to initiative, you can go that way as well. Skills is not a big deal. I don't really want to go through all the skills for everyone. Really what your goal is when it comes to skills, and I'll only say this once and I won't do it for every character, your goal is that you want genuinely every skill to be covered, right? So you want someone with good perception, you want someone with good medicine, you want someone with good insight, if you can get it, right? So right now, we can't get really good anything, right? Like, we'll add it to perception just to have it, and we'll have a good acrobatics, but it's not a big deal. So this is how you should build your fighter. This is number 1 is your fighter, all right? Let's go to number 2. So number 2 Now we have a choice, right? Do we want range DPS? Do we want like another melee? Like, what do we want? So we have a tank, right? So we don't have a healer yet. We don't have any range. We don't have any dex based. So you could go druid, and you could have really good melee combat when you are a moon druid. You have some really nice spells at late game levels. You can do healing. I wouldn't play druid for a main healer though. You could also do cleric, which if you go the right cleric, you could get away with, you know, being a war domain cleric and still doing a bit of healing, because you get this ability here. So let's actually go ahead and do cleric now. Deity doesn't matter, it's all up to you. The background doesn't matter, it's up to you. Let's talk about actual abilities here. So your wisdom is your main one. So you're definitely going to want a +2 here, and you're going to want 16. And you could make this your charisma caster, but I don't want to do that because I might be playing a sorcerer. We'll see. But we have high wisdom. We're going to want a good intelligence. We're definitely going to want a good strength here. Maybe a 14 strength. Dex, you want as low as possible, honestly. And we have points to spare here. So we can increase our con, right? We can increase it to a 14. We can stay here and max our charisma. But what we'll do is we will we'll have 12 con, 12 int, and I think we'll have 16 strength. Let's see, what else can we do? Ooh, we could do a 17 wisdom if we want. I think a 14 intelligence or a 14 con will sort you out better, though. Just to be a little bit more well-rounded, you know. Prepared spells, I think this is a good conversation to have. If this is going to be your healer, you're definitely going to want 2 of these, right? Maybe not as much as Cure Wounds, but Cure Wounds is also amazing. You're probably going to want Command, like always, and you're probably going to want Sanctuary. I wouldn't go that, though, if you're trying to do a little bit of a mix. If you're going full healer and you're just going to worry about your other 3 characters, it's not a big deal. But going Sanctuary is an amazing spell. Gliding Bolt and Inflict Wounds is something else I would go if you're not going to go Sanctuary here. Because, damn, Gliding Bolt's a really good spell. That's kind of your bread and butter, honestly. But you're also going to do a bit of melee attacks, so maybe you go Inflict, right? It's up to you. It's up to you. And I won't talk about skill proficiencies. Just try to keep them wisdom-based, because you'll see that, you know, you got +3s and stuff, and +5s to wisdom. Anyway, it's character 2. So we got fighter, we got cleric. So what else do we want? So now we get to pick whatever we want, right? So if you want to go super control, right? Super control, you think you have enough damage to really take stuff out, and you could use like a support class or anything. Bard or monk is great picks. The monk is a little bit of a different one because their damage sucks. Like, really sucks. But I think they can be really fun on the battlefield, and just gameplay-wise, they can be really fun. It's just, like, if you do not have the damage to back it up, you're going to feel really weak. So, like, if you have a barbarian and paladin, like, monk's, like, not even going to affect your party. But if you're doing, like, druid tank, and you have, like a bard. So if you're druid bard, definitely don't go monk. But having a fighter and having a cleric who's going to do a bunch of damage, and we're probably going to have a wizard or some kind of spellcaster, that'd be great, because what the monk is going to do for you is they're dex-based, right? But they're also, they're dependent on multiple attributes, so they're going to be wisdom as well. And they're also going to have an amount of con or intelligence. Like, there are a lot of ability scores that they could have, right? So monk is a good option. Ranger's great. Rogue's great for here. For this picture, you could also you could fit in a druid if you wanted to. You would be very melee focused by that point. But, you know, you could do that. You could also pick up warlock, right? You could have a ranger. You could have a sorcerer. You could have a wizard. That's like where our options are right now, right? So we'll go with monk, because monk is crazy. It's very difficult to kind of get all your stuff here. So we're going to have it exactly how they had it with that. So 16 dex, 14 con, high wisdom. Let's do that. We want a good intelligence. So yeah, maxing dex, having almost max con, having max wisdom for your perception checks, and having a max dex as well. Now, I am going to go over skill proficiencies here because I think it is going to be important for your monk to understand like what they're going to be doing. So you're definitely going to want sleight of hand. You're definitely going to want stealth. And you're definitely going to want perception, right? Now, we can't get perception, so we'll go with insight, but perception is going to be up there. Like, I would even recommend at level 4 picking up the skilled feat, which gives you 3 more proficiencies, because you're gonna want a lot of stuff, because you're gonna want to do a lot of stuff, right? This is gonna be your person who does everything, right? But yeah, that's the build I'd recommend. I think you could change it. I know there are such thing as strength-based monks, but it's not really my forte. Just doing a high dex, high wisdom build with high constitution and a low-ish intelligence. I think there's room to also improve that. But, you know, this is going to be your guy who gets all the job done. Everything that needs to be done. Last but not least, so we're fighter, cleric, monk right now. So now we have a healer, a tank, and we have a support class. Now we want someone who can dish out a lot of damage, right? You want your damaged class. Now, we already have a dex base, so we're going to go ahead and remove rogue from the possibilities, and we're tentative on ranger, right? Because they're also dex based, and we don't want to double up on stat proficiencies, because we would have, you see this, they're proficient on dex here. So you're definitely going to want, you know, your wisdom and your strength to range through here, and you're going to want an intelligence base, right? So, wizard, warlock, sorcerer. So, here's the good thing about all these classes, right? Now, you don't have a charisma base either, so you can definitely, you know, do that. So, wizard is probably the strongest class in the game because of all the spells they can cast, but they're usually very easy to kill, right? So, glass cannon. So, wizard's a really good option, but it's not the strongest class out there because of the, if they take a little bit of damage, they get targeted, and especially if you're playing on tactician, they are going to get targeted. They can die really fast. Warlock's a pretty good option because they can wear an amount of armor, right? Light armor, they can have shields, and they're also charisma based, and their damage is pretty solid, right? Using the cantrip Eldritch Blast is like a really good damage that is very efficient and consistent, right? Especially when you're adding your charisma modifier and whatever. So, if you were gonna build a warlock, you would max your charisma, and you would also max intelligence, and then you would have proficiencies in that, and then you would have like a amount of wisdom and amount of con. But that's what you would do. Sorcerer is like, in my opinion, I like sorcerer better than wizard because of how fun it is in combat and how many choices you get, because you can upcast and you can use your spell slots to make other spell slots. Like, sorcerer is really fun, and you can also have them as your charisma caster, but we need both charisma and intelligence, right? So warlock, we'll go with warlock here, but you can go with any of those, right? And if you wanted to be really basic, you could have ranger with a max intelligence, charisma, and wisdom and dex and all that. Like, there's so many stats for the ranger, but we'll go warlock, right? So warlock's very simple. Eldritch Blast is a must pick. You need to have Eldritch Blast. You could go any other thing here, but if you had Eldritch Blast, you were good, okay? I'm going to go with Bone Chill here because Bone Chill has the effect to prevent your target from healing, and that could be useful in certain circumstances. So definitely pick up that. You could also go Blade Ward. You could go Mage Hand. That's fine. Subclass. We haven't really dealt with subclasses yet, so this is completely up to you. So the Fiend gives you Dark One's Blessing. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you get 1 temporary hit point. That's okay. It scales. It goes up, right? It's not just always going to be 1. Great Old One gives you a Mortal Reminder. When you land a critical strike against a creature. They must succeed a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. That's cool. And then you have Fey Presence. That's kind of boring. I think the Fiend is probably going to be option here because you're always going to get temp hit points here. And what we'll go is, I think Hex is always going to be really nice. You don't have to go Hex, but I think Hex is really nice. Arms of Hadar is nice. Burning Hands is nice. Armor Agathis is really nice. When you use that at higher levels, which, by the way, your Warlock levels just go up every few levels. So, like, you'll be casting, like, level 5 spell slots and not even wasting anything. Like, it's really, really nice. Armor Agathis is really good for later levels. I honestly wouldn't pick it here, though. I'd probably pick Hellish Rebuke's nice, Command is nice, Arms of Hadar is nice, and actually, no, I will pick it. I will pick it. Backgrounds are completely up to you, like I said. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do Charisma, Intelligence, right? We haven't had anybody who's Intelligence yet, so we're going to try to pick up a 14, and then we're going to pick up a 16 here. And we could probably get away with a 16 Intelligence. We'll see where we're at. Dex is fine. Wisdom, honestly, doesn't matter. So we have points to spare. So let's go Intelligence, 14 Con. Let's get a 12 Dex there. Strength and Wisdom, it's fine, right? We got our Wisdom base, and now we can go ahead and have a very high... we can have a very high Arcana, which is what we want. And we also want a very high Persuasion, if we can get it. Where is it? There it is. So Persuasion, and we'll get a Deception as well. This person is going to be the person who's doing all the talking, right? So that's the one you want. And then your background can also, you know, like Noble's going to be really good. And then we can actually, we can switch this to, let's say, Intimidation. So we have Deception, Intimidation, Persuasion, Arcana. And now, like, our stats are doing pretty well, right? We got +5s everywhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to the end. That is our build. So we have Fighter, we have Cleric, we have Monk, and we have Warlock. You can change this as whatever you want, but if you want the easiest build, check out my previous video about the build guide for the Origin characters, because it gives you a really good build on how to build the Paladin, and you could just have a Paladin and 3 characters that you want, like I said at the start. Anyway, have a good rest of your evening. See you later.